One of the standout peculiarities of the Payday story is in how we go from a quartet of big-time bank robbers to an international secret service taking on the Sumerian Illuminati, who had been around since the dawn of human civilization. Quite the escalation, but what I really want to discover in this video are the origins of Payday 2's world building once things get crazy. In the process, I want to ask an important question for fellow Payday 2 iceberg enthusiasts. Is Payday's lore mythological or extraterrestrial? In other words, are we waging war against gods or aliens? This short video I've seen flying around really says it best. But do you know what's even better than a succinctly summed up story of Payday 2? The sponsor of today's video, Opera GX, the #1 browser for those who like to game and watch gaming content. I've been using the GX browser for some time now, and if you've seen any past collaborations on this channel, you should know what it's all about. I can tell you firsthand it does feel like an upgrade if you enjoy PC gaming in any format. A quick reminder, you can of course limit the browser's usage of your CPU and RAM, as well as access Twitch and Discord without tabbing out. Just as exciting, you can also link your favourite messaging apps, including Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp and Telegram, just to name a few. Remember that you can also fully customize your browser's feel with awesome looking animated wallpapers and bring over any of your favourite Google Chrome extensions imported directly using the Quick Import tool. One final thing about the browser that you should know is that it's now on mobile as well, bringing over all your favourite features and allowing you to transfer files between browser versions in a single click. I strongly recommend you give Opera GX a go. Follow the link in the description or pinned comment and be sure to let me know what you think of GX in the comments below. Anyway, getting back on track with Payday 2's absolutely insane mythos, it's time to explore what gave it that extra layer of mystery and intrigue. With the introduction of the Kataru after 2017's Reservoir Dogs heist, we started to hear about a few different groups, places, and historical deities. I honestly wanted to talk about these things during the story videos, but there was never a great time to go, oh yeah, want to hear about the deep lore of the ancient Sumerian goddess Tiamat? When I was trying to explain that Duke was in fact not a time traveller. Now you've hopefully got all of that down, I want to start this exploration of Payday's legends with the gods it references. Deities have been alluded to in Payday since the Diamond, but they were really thrown into the forefront of the narrative during Shacklethorne auction following the discovery of the Obsidian Plate. More on the origins of the plate itself soon, but for now, just think of it as a key and instruction manual rolled into one. Initially, on the tablet we can see a number of famous depictions of mythological deities from across civilizations. In the centre we see Tiamat and Marduk, Sumerian and later Babylonian gods. Beneath them are Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca of Aztec origin, and to their right, the Egyptian gods Anubis and Bastet. The tale of Tiamat and Marduk sees the mother goddess who gave birth to the Sumerian deities, slain by Marduk, the god of thunderstorms and god king of Babylon. In doing so, he created heaven and earth from her divided body. As for Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca, they were believed to be brothers, sons of the primordial god. Aztec creation mythos saw them as rivals who competed to rule over the suns comprising the initial elements of the planet. After a more direct external threat to the two brothers and their way of life appeared, the earth monster Tlatelolco, they chose to cooperate, turning themselves into snakes and slew the monster by dismembering her. From her body parts, the world as we know it, the fifth son of the story, was formed. Immediately you should be able to see the parallels. These were creation stories focused on monolithic creatures. Anubis and Bastet are not so directly linked to a singular Egyptian myth, but they were often perceived as consorts to one another given their connections to embalming and ointment respectively. These two are the odd ones out, not being part of a creation myth, but I wonder if that is because they are displayed here due to their connection with the afterlife and the obvious parallel between the ark circumventing the afterlife. We see this in the other depictions in-game with the Aztec god Mictlantecuhtli, king of the underworld. Depictions of this god are found on the neck of the patient from No Mercy, and of course on the painting which covered the entrance to the Ark in the White House. This leans into that parallel between underworld imagery and the descent into the ancient Ark, now known as Borwin's Lament. Taking a look at the in-game mass descriptions for the Guardians of the Kings and Watchers, we get the real clues regarding what the tablet was truly portraying. They confirm that within the world of Payday, these deities were actually older than even their original worshippers believed, coming from the dawn of time. The final clue to the truth of their existence is found just above these inscriptions: the three Nephilim, or giants. These are beings we physically see in-game, so we know they exist, either as diminished mummified corpses, through paintings, or in their more truly giant form in the distance during Shacklethorne auction itself. In my opinion, these are the true identities of the deities, and any more complex creationary myth surrounding them and their appearance is a product of the culture from which they are being perceived. In other words, these were the real gods. Or were they? You see, I don't actually believe Payday 2 is a game with a mythological plot. Instead, I'd consider it an extraterrestrial one. It's all science fiction, and this Nephilim on the right is first proof of that. Look at how it points to a third mass in orbit, represented by the Heil triangle of the Kitaru. The first, closest to the Sun, is planet Earth, whilst the planet orbiting in a wider path is Pluto. This Nephilim is almost certainly pointing to its place of origin, an unconfirmed location far off in the solar system. These guys are no gods, they're aliens who once travelled to Earth, spreading their advanced technology, which over time has been forgotten. Their technology is far more advanced than we can conceive, including the power to prolong life, and as the tablet states, to remake your legacy from within. If you need any more evidence of this, look to the temples on the left, 3 of which represent key landmarks of the ancient civilizations associated with the gods on the right. I believe the narrative is inferring that these landmarks were built by or to honour the Nephilim, as they were perceived at the time, protecting the many secrets of their technology, which would have been easy to assume was godly magic given the poor scientific development of the Earth during each era in question. I think some of the best evidence of this we have is the 4th temple, the underwater dreaming temple. We know for a fact that this temple had been discovered before. The paintings from the diamond depict the events. We also know that the dreaming temple is associated with the modern Lovecraftian god Cthulhu. What if within the world of Payday, H.P. Lovecraft was inspired to write of Arlie and invented the Great Dreamer as a surrogate for the Nephilim, whom he possibly encountered on this very expedition? Just like the old pagan gods, Cthulhu was modern humanity's attempt to rationalize this alien encounter. I have even more evidence here that the Nephilim are likely the driving force behind the emergence of religion in the Payday universe. Consider the Aztec obsession with removing the still-beating heart for sacrifice. What if they learnt this practice directly from the Nephilim themselves? Let's not forget how Lindenhurst is found in Shacklethorne, heart visibly ripped out through the ribcage. To me, there's pretty substantial evidence that this is what Wordsmith was trying to imply. But what does this mean for the origins of the Payday mythos? Well, I believe that this revelation changes things substantially. It means that the obsidian tablet is itself a remnant of that alien technology, existing as a guide to accessing their most powerful creations. But a guide for whom, you may ask? Here is where the origins of the Kitaru, Kings and Watchers comes together. Digging deeper on their introduction into the Payday 2 storyline, we know emails were sent from an account with the domain Beyond Yesterday to Commissioner Garrett in 2017, kicking off all the madness. We later find that these emails were actually sent by an organisation called the Kitaru, meaning Alliance. They used Babylonian and Sumerian imagery and titles in their messages. In particular, we know one account referenced the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and another the demigod king Enmerkar, who is said to have lived and reigned for 420 years, millennia ago. This is pretty telling. First, Sumer, located in what we now know to be Iraq, was where identifiable evidence of known civilization began, making the Kitaru truly ancient if the pact stretches back that far. Second, if we write off the possibility of deities being real in Payday lore, how could someone have lived for over 4 centuries? Well, I know of at least one man who has. The Dentist. He is heavily implied to have reincarnated and lived for inhuman years. What if these Sumerian legends were just early exploits of the Kitaru kings? A thought which brings me onto the origins of the group, which I believe are somewhat depicted by the tablet. In the time before man, the Nephilim or giants could travel between planets. They did so searching for one with the right conditions to influence. They found planet Earth, which had the potential to house intelligent life, settling and implanting their most advanced technology deep in the fledgling planet's bedrock. At that point, a small group of early humans likely happened upon these Nephilim and were granted an almost incomprehensible power as a reward: the ability to live agelessly and transfer their conscience to another human, and therefore influence every development in human history. They were named as kings and formed an alliance, the Kataru, to ensure their power was preserved endlessly with the maintenance of the temples. Civilizations began to rise and fall, and the men became renowned as great heroes of each era. Through their superior knowledge, they ruled to progress the human race, but did so with extreme cruelty. Of course, human sacrifice was not necessary to please the gods. They didn't exist. But the kings did nothing to stop the Mesoamericans from believing these legends and butchering their own people. They used fear and coercion to manipulate their subjects' misunderstanding of the Nephilim and their perceived status as gods, and once they grew tired of them, remade their legacy through the power of the obsidian tablet. From Sumer, ancient Egypt to Maya, civilizations fell and were rebuilt from the ashes. That was until the origin of the first Watcher, Nebuchadnezzar, a Babylonian king who witnessed the location of the Ark, the device capable of reincarnation, now located in the White House. Learning of its power, he and all future Watchers would work to support the kings in developing Earth, but would also be secretly tasked with protecting it from the misuse which had set humanity back in the past. In doing so, the Watchers became key figures in maintaining the Kataru alliance, even up to Bane in modern day, given the text over his grave in the standard ending confirms that status. Over the years, the kings became more stable and lent on their Watchers more and more, accepting a balance of power that was not driven by their hedonistic whims, becoming known as the Alchemists during the late Middle Ages given their powers of longevity. All except one of them, the Healer King. The dentist wanted to return to the days when they ruled as true god kings. He'd been feuding with his old colleagues in the Kataru, attempting to first seize power during the burning of Washington in 1814, once again through World War II, and finally in the events of Payday 2. He was stopped on all three occasions, once by the sacrifice of his Watcher Baldwin, intentionally preventing the reincarnation process, once by the fall of Nazi Germany, and finally, fatally at the intervention of the Payday gang. His plan, had he succeeded, was to reincarnate once more as the most powerful man he could conceive of, the President of the United States, before destroying all the other temples to prevent the other kings from doing likewise. The nuking of the Dreaming Temple and Great Pyramid is surely sufficient evidence of this, and the Ark of the Watcher collapsing at the end of the secret is a further clue that the dentist wanted this to be the final reincarnation. At the very least, we know he was prepared to become the president at this point. His attire during the final confrontation perfectly matches what President Bane wears in the final scene of the game. Had he done so, I'm sure fire and brimstone was in store for the entire planet under his rule. So the Payday gang really did save us all. And that is my interpretation of the mythos of Payday 2. There are more fantastic hidden secrets within the environmental storytelling of the game, such as the astrological imagery on the door to the Ark, or the McKendrick ghost in the White House, but I don't think they necessarily have a direct bearing on this overarching narrative. Functionally, gods have always been alluded to in Payday 2, and those theological and mythological undertones run through the game's imagery and storytelling. That is, until you realise that the Kataru propagate these superstitions to hide that the true power dictating the future on Earth is of alien origin and can be utilised by anyone who is deemed worthy by their technology. I don't know what the deal is with the Ark Guardians, by the way. They might just be supernatural beings who worship the Nephilim in the past, or they could just as easily be machines powered by their advanced technology instead. Equally likely, they may just be cool models Overkill made with famous mythological imagery to make the final puzzle in the secret that bit more exciting. Other than that, I'm really happy with the conclusions of this video, and I think I've got a little closer to understanding the world Overkill has tried to craft for Payday 2. I'm much more comfortable saying Payday is a game with alien technology in it, a la Nazi zombies, than I am saying Payday is a game which confirm the existence of mythological gods and the supernatural. It grounds the world, if only just slightly, and means that we could feasibly be back to just robbing banks in a couple years' time, instead of fighting off Cthulhu. Although, now I think about it, Bloodborne heist anyone? As ever, thank you very much to my Mean Infamy patrons and above. If you want to join that infamous club to see yourself in the credits or get early exclusive access to my videos, including the story videos, check out my Patreon, link below. Remember the Discord is open to all if you crave some more Payday discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you all very soon for the next one.